If you could have a conversation with yourself 20 years into the future, what do you think your future self would have to say to your present self? Why this is coming up is because this week I had a really cool opportunity to go to the Google Canada offices for a mentorship lab. I was invited alongside 13 or 15 other female creators. So many talented and creative women there. Like, I truly felt so honored to be in that room. And we got led through a meditation and a vision board session. We talked with top Google execs and got to hear their stories and some advice and insights from them about not just the creator landscape, but the economy and career as a woman. Just so good. And before we got into the vision board session, which was a lot of fun, there was a meditation that we were prompted to do where we were guided to enter a house, imagine what that house would be, that belongs to our future self. And behind that closed door, we'd be sitting down for a coffee with ourselves 20 years in the future and having a conversation and being able to ask questions and also listen to what that future self has to say in response to the questions that we had to ask. I've been thinking about it for days since, because I personally found it so comforting to meet with me 20 years in the future. I just felt really warm around her. And I think ultimately why I feel that way is because your future self is always with you. Like, she is me. I just think that's such a powerful thing to cling on to, because like my future self isn't this like mystical figure. She really is me, and she is here, and we'll grow into her, but this is a big part of who she is as well, who I am right now. The flip side of that is like, what would you tell your younger self, or what would you tell yourself 10 years ago if you could sit down and have a coffee with her? There was even like this big Instagram trend about sitting down for coffee with yourself from 10 years ago. I think it was 10 years ago. There's just like an inner compass that connects your past, present, and future all together. We also, and yes, like I said, made the vision boards. We didn't have a lot of time to finish them, so I didn't really like get into the depths of it, but this was a cute little start. I actually have a vision board over here that I absolutely love. So I think I'm inspired to maybe revisit that vision board with that lens of that conversation I had with my future self, and also find more opportunities to do a meditation like that. It's definitely a way that I feel like you can just practice channeling that intuition. Just touching up my makeup here because I think I want to go for a little self-care walk. But like I said, the event was like really special. It's not every day that I get to meet with creators like that intimately. And honestly, as I was looking around the room, I definitely did get hit with a little bit of that imposter syndrome. Some of the things that the creators in that room are doing is so amazing, and they're so talented, and it's hard not to then also get a little critical about how you level up to that and where you may fall short. It's a recipe for disappointment whenever you're comparing, but I'd be lying if I said it didn't at times during that day get me a little critical about what I do here on the internet, and if I'm doing enough. And yeah, I don't really have a profound conclusion on that. I think it's important to keep testing ourselves on that, especially as a creator, to keep questioning, am I happy with the content that I'm producing, and what are things that I want to say, and am I saying them? It's a constantly evolving process. I feel like a little bit of a veteran sometimes in a room like that, because when people ask like, so when did you start creating? I'm like, well, technically in 2012 as a blogger, but then 2014 as a YouTuber, but then I started a new channel in 2016. And there's a lot of 2020 creators that have emerged, during that period. A lot of people kind of turned to TikTok and Instagram to start building platforms, which is amazing. There's so much more talent in the city. But yeah, it does have a way of making me feel like very much seasoned in this career. There's not really a proper template for where to be at a certain point in your life, but I do think it's rare at 28 to have already been well into a decade of a career. That makes you like think about your career differently when you're that deep into it, because you start asking yourself questions about what you want the next phase to be, and what things you want to focus your time and energy on, what lights you up. And those questions are sometimes like, very scary, I don't know. But nonetheless, very honored that I was able to go to that event. Spring weather's coming, but the wind is sometimes a little aggressive. So I am gonna do a vest. I got this vest in, was it in the fall or in the summer? I'm so glad. I think I got it for like $35, and I'm so glad, because you know what? You do not use a vest very much in Canada. Season for a vest in between season is like 2-3 weeks. And then you're like, okay, I need a coat or I need nothing. I want to do a few errands, so I'm also transferring back into my big tote bag here. I really love this purse organizer that I have for my Longchamp here, because it easily allows me to transform the function of this bag. Like if I don't have the purse organizer, it can be more of a, I'm going for very specific errands around the city and I want to have a shopping bag vibe, or I can have the purse organizer in there and it be more of like my purse with some reusable shopping bags like this in here for me to put anything that I may or may not purchase or pick up. This gives it a lot of shape. See, I have gloves in there, don't need that anymore. Base cosmetic bag for my lip products. I'm just gonna take the Summer Fridays lip balm with me. I keep a little cloth for my glasses, my sunnies. One of my favorite cosmetic bags because the lining is that easily wipe down material, and I have these little pouches in here. This is cloth that if you add water to, it expands into a bigger cloth. So if I'm out on the go and I have like a messy spill that goes in my bag, or I need to wipe something down, I can just quickly go to a bathroom and I have a really great wet cloth. They're from Amazon, I'll link them down below. This is where we're at right now. And then I always bring some sort of reusable bag. This can be an internal pocket when it's expanded, or once you start folding it, it becomes the pouch that you store the bag in. Now it's a pouch and that easily goes in my bag. It's super flat. I usually store it on the side pockets of this purse organizer because there's enough room for me to store things like that. There we go. Me and my Longchamp. I gotta pick up all this stuff from the floor now. Definitely a sweats and vest kind of day. Wow, this mirror needs to be cleaned. Whoa. On the very timely topic of women and mentorship, Mother's Day is coming up soon, and I was thinking that one of the things I wanted to do this year as like a little DIY during this time of the year, Mother's Day, was to DIY a gift bag with this type of book style tutorial that I've seen a few people do on Pinterest. So I decided to take my crack at it, which is the footage that you're seeing at the side of me here. And I think this is such a cute way to spice up a blank bag that you have in your collection. Whenever there's like a special day of the year, like Mother's Day or Father's Day or someone's birthday, I'd even throw in Christmas into this list. We put these expectations to make it incredible, to make it the best ever, and we might feel that pressure to show up for the people that we really love dearly in our life. I love my mom tremendously, and I want nothing but for her to have like the best Mother's Day, but it's also a lot of pressure to put that on yourself to make it the best day ever, or to pick out more specifically the best gift ever. And I don't think we need to put that much pressure on ourselves. I do think well-intentioned thought goes such a long way, going that little extra mile to think about who they really are, what they appreciate, and just trying to find a little something to do to make it special. My mom is a reader, so she appreciates books, and adding that combined with this handmade touch of I'm putting this together, I think she'll end up really loving that. Last year I went 11 out of 10 effort because I crocheted her a blanket. And I nearly lost my mind doing that. I was up on Mother's Day until like 3 in the morning finishing that blanket because of course the procrastination just hit and I was in crunch mode. But it was beautiful, don't get me wrong. She loves it. I love it. I think that blanket is so special, but it also doesn't have to be like that level of work or a certain quantity or amount for a gift to be a special day too. Again, I think it just comes down to thinking about at the core who these people that we want to celebrate are and how can we show our appreciation in a way that resonates with them and just add a little special touch. I typically will make breakfast for my mom on Mother's Day, and if I'm doing that, then maybe instead of just making pancakes or just making waffles, although that in itself is great, maybe I get some whipped cream and fresh berries and go a little bit extra with the toppings in a way that we don't usually do. You know, the whipped cream is not something we typically have, but it's so delicious. The book that I put inside that gift bag though, Great Big Beautiful by Emily Henry, the newest Emily Henry release, is not something I'm gifting to my mom. This is all mine. I try to avoid spoilers as much as possible, but I have felt like the response to this book has been mixed. So gonna go in with an open mind because I do typically like a good Emily Henry read. I gotta say the cover this year is great. However, this This bothers me, not the fact that she is a Reese's Book Club pick, but the fact that they keep it on the cover. Like, why can't it just be a sticker? Why does it have to be permanent? And you know what? Indigo did it too on their Indigo exclusive. What is this? I don't like permanent stickers. If you're gonna be a sticker, be a sticker. All I wanna do is just take it off. It's okay. This one I think though, like I said, is an Indigo exclusive. So if you are an Emily Henry fan, this is what the inside looks like. I don't know if all of them look like this, but has this foiled writing on the cover. Says, "From the far side of the world, my heart is with you." Obligatory book sniff. Yep, she's fresh. Got 2 meetings to tackle today, so I need to fuel up. I'm doing a little Greek yogurt bowl, this time with homemade granola that I made with honey instead of maple syrup. So it's that same recipe that I made a few weeks back, a month ago. I'll try and link the video where I made it down in the description box below. But I swapped it with honey and I think I like it better because when I open this up, I'm not hit with a maple flavor, which I think is nice because maple is a great flavor, but it's very overpowering. This feels a little bit more neutral, but there's gonna be a secret sauce I add to this that takes it to another level. So first, let me just measure out my Greek yogurt. Then I'm gonna sprinkle some hemp hearts. I'm also gonna add some little pineapple tidbits I have left over from pizza that I made a few nights ago. There we go. So then I'm proceeding adding my granola. This is the benefit to using honey, is I actually got some more clusters than last time, which is nice because it gives you a bit of a crunch. Look at that one, that one's really good. So we could stop at that point and it'd be a great time, but I'm gonna add my secret ingredient, which is freeze-dried strawberries. Oh my gosh. This doesn't taste like a regular strawberry. It's kind of got a sourness to it, which I enjoy. So I'm gonna take 2 of these and I'm just gonna break it apart. Kind of has this like styrofoam texture, but you just do it into little bits. I'm telling you, you get like these beautiful bursts of flavor and just look how pretty it is. Without this, I find this a little bit boring on its own. We're really on theme today because I feel like this also really ties well back to that conversation about finding small ways to make things special. Small way. I gotta go munch on this because meeting. Hey, this is how I look when I'm about to do a meeting. I've got my Coach notebook open for my meeting notes, pen, Q-tip because I like to clean the screen like that. I usually always have headphones nearby too in case for some reason there's audio issues, because sometimes you get audio issues where your mic in the laptop doesn't work, so you have to use your headphone mic. Wow, we're shaking. And I need to join in a minute. Okay, bye. My meeting is over, but I want to show you this really cool feature. It's pretty new, so you may not have heard of it yet, but if you go to your control center on your iPhone and you press and hold so that you can customize the widgets here in your control center, I'm going to add a control, and in the search controls, I'm going to write ambient music. So it pops up right there. And there are 4 different options. There's sleep, chill, productivity, and well-being. These are buttons that you can press depending on what kind of ambient music you want in the background that will automatically play music that aligns with that task. And you don't need to be an Apple Music subscriber to take advantage of it, which I think is the coolest part of that. I absolutely love working and relaxing and reading and just doing so many things with ambient sounds in the background. I'm always talking about how I think sound is a really simple way, powerful way to transform the energy of a room, of a home. You know, I think about if I'm in a busy space, even in public sometimes, and I may be sitting down having a coffee, or I'm sitting at a table when I was a student studying, just sometimes adding that little ambient noise can make you feel more secluded and have more ability to focus on what you want to focus on when there's so much chaos happening around you. But I also feel like when I am home alone, music and ambient music can be really great at filling the space with energy when there's not really like energy from other people around. It's just something really interesting to play with if you don't already. And Obviously some people can really focus with music and some can't, but ambient music is usually a little bit different in that it's not going to be overly stimulating and distract you. Got my coffee here because I finished my second meeting of the day. I need to treat myself. I'm going to put some coconut sugar and some of this Natura Oat Simple, only 3 ingredients milk inside. I've really been liking this one, but it's a bit harder to find. That second meeting I had was really focused on how to build like pitches, or how I'm going to be building pitches for brands I want to work with for the rest of the year, which made me think about one brand that I've just recently gotten to work with that is a dream. And I think you guys will know why it's such a dream. It was Kobo. Yeah, it was Rakuten Kobo I got to work with. If you go check out my Instagram and TikTok page, you'll see the sponsorship deal. I love whenever I can work with a brand that is just so easy to say yes to, and most of the time that is the case, but like then you get a brand like this where you're like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? So in that video I did a reading sprint and I read Next to You by Hannah Bonham Young. She's actually a Canadian author. Wait, why is this cover? Let me turn it on. There it is. Such a cute little read. I read her first book, Out on a Limb, and I haven't read anything from her since, which is a shame because I really do enjoy her, but I had no idea that she was Canadian. So that just makes my Canadian heart a little happy. This was a good one. I'm making dinner tonight and I honestly didn't really want to make anything, so I'm doing some pasta and canned tomato sauce. However, the way I'm kind of like elevating it is, one, I'm using lentil pasta. 1 serving of this has 22 grams of protein. So it's beefing up the meal a bit, even though it's just pasta and tomato sauce. And like I said, I'm using a tomato sauce from the grocery store. I will admit, I don't think I have really done enough work in perfecting homemade tomato sauce. I know it's not that difficult, but I need to like invest time into like making a really good go-to sauce. It is a rosé sauce, so what I did to elevate it is I just chopped up roughly, very roughly, a red pepper that I had in the fridge and I added it to the sauce, so there's going to be some extra flavor there. And then when I add the pasta to the sauce and I combine it all together, I'm going to zest some lemon on top of it, and that'll just brighten the whole dish up. And I've just taken a very, you know, very boring meal, dinner that requires like not a lot of time to put together. I've just transformed it into something a little bit more special. So my pasta is done. Just gonna drain it with this slotted spoon, add it to this pasta sauce. So that's what this looks like. And now I'm gonna add some freeze-dried chives just for some extra visual and flavor. Pepper, a little bit of lemon zest, nothing too crazy. Ooh, it smells so good with the lemon in there. Oh my gosh, look what I have done. We've taken basic pasta and tomato sauce and turned it into a pretty good protein packed meal with a little bit of veg. I could have added more veg, but I don't have any veg around. I need to go grocery shopping, but I think that looks scrumptious.
So let's live it up.